everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we'll be completing in today's video, this fun heart icon, perfect for Valentine's Day or just any time of the year really if you just like hearts like I do. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so that is linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. I have a lot of awesome exclusive tutorials available over there. We are also going to animate this in Procreate Dreams in a future tutorial that should be live just a couple days after this one is. So I'll put the animation on the screen here and then look out for that video coming soon. And before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just download the file to your iPad and then either double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate, and it will automatically pop the color palette into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. I will also post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today, so let's just go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is set our background color. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, click on this background color layer, and select the first color on the first row of the color palette to fill it in with that color. Then on our layer menu, we'll be on layer 1, and we are just going to make the background little square with rounded corners for our heart to sit on. So to do that, we're going to turn on Symmetry. We're going to go to our gear icon under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, and then click Edit Drawing Guide, set it to Symmetry, and then under Options here, we're going to select Quadrant Symmetry, and then go ahead and click Done. Then on our layer menu, our layer 1 here should say Assisted on it. That means Symmetry is active on this layer. If yours doesn't, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. And the little square in the middle is going to have a base color of the second color on the top row, so let's find that. Let's grab our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. And let's set that to like 30%. Then to make our rounded corners, first we're going to just make a circle, kind of like in the middle of one of the quadrants. So I'll just start on this top right one. Make a good sized circle kind of towards the middle. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth and then touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. Set a pretty good size. Click the circle button at the top if you need to move it around. I'm just going to move it just, again, where it's kind of like centered here. So it should have like equal space in between this vertical line and the side of it, and then the horizontal line in the bottom of it. So we don't want it like up here or anything. We want it to be kind of square. So that's kind of how you set that. Okay, so that looks good. Then we're going to make the straight sides. So with our pen tool, I'm just going to stay on the same layer, and I'm just going to connect each side with a perfectly straight line. So I'll start on the far right side of my top right circle, draw a line straight towards the middle, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen to make it perfectly vertical, and then click this line button at the top to move it. So just move it around until you get it lined up nicely with our circle so that we don't have like a piece sticking like out, and we also don't have it far in where it's like straight and then curves out. We want it to just be very seamless. So just kind of line it up right with that edge there as best as you can. And then that should have mirrored on the left side. And then I'll do the same thing across the bottom. So I'll start at the very bottom of this circle towards the middle, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, and again, edit the line to make it just line up perfectly smoothly so that we get a nice shape like this to fill in. So let's go ahead and fill in the circle and fill in the middle. So you should have a completed shape like so. If you need to do any resizing or moving around or anything, go ahead and do so. With your arrow tool on uniform with snapping turned on in the bottom left, you can kind of resize it, move it around, just recenter it always so it's still in the center where you see the two yellow lines. But we want a good amount of room for our shadow next to it and stuff, so that's the only reason I say that. In case you need to resize it at all, we do need some room outside of it for that. But let's go ahead and do a little bit more stuff to our square here. So on our layer menu, click on this layer, turn off drawing assist, click on it again and turn on alpha lock. And we're just going to add a little variation in color to it. So on our color palette, let's grab our third color on the top row, a little bit lighter than our base color. And let's grab our soft brush under the airbrushing category. Our opacity here is going to be set to 100 for this brush, and then our size, let's set it to 10. And with the lighter color here, I'm just going to kind of focus maybe on the right and bottom side. So I'm just going to kind of add just a little bit of kind of blobs of color with this. Nothing too crazy. Again, we just want a little variation so our whole square isn't just one solid color. So I'm just kind of adding some light there with that. And we will have a shadow under it, so this will pop a little bit more. Maybe even just like a little bit in the center or something, like so. Then I will grab my next color line, fourth one on the top row, and we'll do the same thing with this darker color, maybe just like on the left edge, top edge, kind of like that. Maybe just again like little blobs here and there, just to give some good variation. Okay, to smooth things out even further, we can go ahead and do a blur to this. So since alpha lock's turned on, the edges won't blur, but everything inside it will. So we'll go to our wand icon, Gaussian blur, and drag this up a little bit just to kind of give everything a little bit nicer blending. So maybe 20% is what I'll do. Okay, now let's go ahead and make our shadow. So on our layer menu, make a duplicate of this layer. So slide to the left and hit duplicate, grab the bottom one, and our shadow color is going to be this fifth one on the top row. So find that on the color palette, go back to your layer menu, and on the bottom one here with alpha lock turned on, click on it and click fill layer. Click on it again and turn off alpha lock. And we are just going to make one good shadow on this one. So to do so, we will go to our wand icon. We will do motion blur this time. And motion blur, what happens is whichever way you slide your pen on the screen, that's the direction the shadow will go. So if we go left to right, it'll go out to the sides. We want to go diagonally. I'm going to go from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm just going to start maybe like right about here. I'm going to go down this way a good ways. Maybe to like 50%. Okay, and then now we're just going to move it. So grab it with your arrow tool. Make sure, again, snapping is turned on in the bottom left. And we're just going to move it down and to the right until we snap to our top and left side of our square. So our border for our shadow should be touching that, and it'll kind of snap together there to line up there. So then our shadow should just be jutting out from the bottom left and top right corners down in this direction. Okay, that looks great. So now we can move on to our heart. So on our layer menu, let's add a layer to the top of our layers, and let's go ahead and switch our symmetry. We are going to use symmetry again, but we're going to switch it so it's not quadrant anymore. So under the gear icon, under canvas, click to edit the drawing guide. Under symmetry, just click options here and select vertical. Go ahead and click done. Then on our layer menu, let's click on this new layer and turn on drawing assist so the symmetry is active on this layer. Let's grab our first heart color, the first one on the second row now, and switch back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab, still at 30%. And the first thing we're going to do is draw our two circles that make up the top part of our heart. So I'm just going to start on this right side of the symmetry line here, draw a good circle, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it a perfect circle. And I'm okay with them like overlapping in the middle a little bit to get a nice good kind of start to our heart there. But go ahead and set a size, click circle at the top to move it around if you need to. If you need to adjust the size while you're in this screen, just make sure to touch in between two of the blue dots to resize it. If you touch on it, it'll stretch it out into an ellipse, and we don't want that. So just touch it in between two blue dots to resize it there. Again, we want a good amount of room kind of on the left and right side, but I'm kind of closer to the top here, but nothing too crazy. We want room around it for like a shadow and stuff. So I might set it like right about here, I think is good. And then I'm just going to go straight back into my pen tool. I'm just going to start like on this bottom right corner of this right circle, and I'm just going to draw towards the center in kind of a curved motion and hold it down so it turns into a perfectly smooth curved line until it meets right in the center there. You can click this edit arc button at the top again to adjust it, and you can adjust, like, first of all, where it meets up with our circle here. Again, we want a nice, like, seamless transition. You can adjust the curve of the line. I just want a slight curve, nothing too crazy like this, just a slight curve there. And then again, it meets up nicely in the center here, like so. A good amount of room, like comparable to what we left on the top here, but we can still move this around and stuff, but, you know, leave a good amount of room on the bottom there. Then let's go ahead and fill everything in like so. Okay, so then this is our heart to start. If you want to resize it before we do anything else, go ahead and do so. You can grab it with your arrow tool, and you can do it on freeform too if you want to like change the height of it or something. Just make sure it's always snapped back to the very center of our canvas. You should see a yellow line vertically and potentially horizontally. Mine's not showing me a horizontal. There we go. There's my horizontal yellow line too. You might see blue lines too that is trying to snap you with our square behind it, and that's totally fine too, as long as it looks like it's generally in the center. Okay, and let's first make our shadow for this. So on our layer menu, let's make a duplicate of this layer. So slide to the left and hit duplicate. Grab the one on the bottom, click on it and turn on alpha lock. Click on it again and turn off drawing assist. Grab our next color in line, second one on the second row, slightly darker. This is our shadow color. Back to our layer menu. On this bottom layer with alpha lock turned on, click on it and click fill layer. Then click on it again and turn off alpha lock so we can blur it. Okay, and we're actually going to make two shadows for this one, so let's make a duplicate of this darker color. Okay, let's just grab the bottom one first. Grab our wand icon, again click motion blur. And again, we're going to go from the top left to the bottom right. So I'm just going to start kind of right around here, drag this direction to get a shadow there. We're going to do a pretty big one this time. So let's do like maybe 60 to 70%, somewhere in there, to kind of close to the edge of your back square here. So mine's at 70 right now. And then instead of moving it down, we are just going to erase what's up here. So with my eraser tool set to the monoline brush at 100%, I am just going to erase all of this. Alternatively, you can like select it and drag it off the screen, but we're just going to do the quick eraser. Okay, layer menu, let's find our other darker heart now, the one right above this one. Again, alpha lock's already turned off. Click our wand icon, click motion blur, and again, top left to bottom right, but we're going to do a shorter one this time. So I might do like 50%, somewhere in there. Again, eraser tool, and erase everything up here, leaving just the stuff on the bottom right side. So just cut it off right at the tip here where it kind of disappears on its own. Okay, now we can go ahead and do the different things to our heart to make that kind of look 3D, make it really pop off of our picture. So on our layer menu, let's find our heart layer at the very top now. Click on it and turn off drawing assist. Click on it again and turn on alpha lock. So let's start with our third color on the second row. Switch back to our soft brush under the airbrushing category. Let's set our size to maybe like 7% or so. Maybe we'll start with that. Okay, and for this slightly lighter color, let's just go kind of all over this left side. And then maybe the right, like the top right corner, something kind of like this. Okay, then let's switch to our lighter color still, fourth one on the second row. And we'll add like a kind of a bubble on the top right here. So let's start that to get like a good, really good highlight going. And then in the top left, we'll kind of come in a ways like this. Trying to go pretty lightly. You can lower the opacity of your brush if you would like to, if that's helpful for you. Don't want it too bright there. So just kind of starting there. We'll kind of follow this left edge just a little bit, getting a little brighter at the very edge. like so. Okay, and then once again, we'll kind of blur this to make it a little smoother. So with our wand icon, Gaussian blur, I'll just drag this up just a little bit to kind of like smooth it out just a smidge, maybe to like 10% at the very most. Okay, now we'll add a quick shadow. So on our layer menu, add a new layer above this one. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply. We're going to grab our next color in line, fifth one on the second row. And with our same brush, let's set it down to like 5% now. And I'm just going to focus this shadow on like the top middle area where these pieces come together, add a little bit of a shadow there. And then on the far right side, add a little bit of a shadow coming in there as well. Something like this. Simple. Okay, layer menu, let's add a new layer. Click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N, and this time we'll set it to add. Same color, same brush, same size. I'm first going to make a really bright spot right here in the middle of this area. You can lower the opacity of your brush if you need to, if it's getting a little too bright already. So maybe I'll go down to like 70%. Push pretty light there, get a little highlight is all. And then same thing on this side. We want a little kind of oval highlight there. Maybe even a little bit down the left side. Nothing too crazy though. And then on the far right side as well, we want another highlight there with this. So I'm going to go along that edge. Maybe you could put your brush back up to 100 or just go over it a couple times or just push pretty hard, but we do want a nice kind of glow here reflecting as well. Okay, I think that looks good. One quick touch up I'm going to make is just that these bright spots that I made, I like their placement. I like how bright they are, but they're not blended enough. And I don't want to Gaussian blur this whole layer because I want my side pieces to stay pretty the same. So what we're going to do is just go to our blend tool here, click on it to open it up, set it to the soft brush under the airbrushing category as well. Opacity at 100, size at like 10%, and I'm just going to focus on these spots and just kind of blur them out a little bit so we still get a good bright highlight, but not quite as crazy as it is right now. But again, I didn't want to Gaussian blur the whole layer, so I think that is a good compromise there. Okay, and then once that's done, that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you had fun. I hope that you liked the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you had fun, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it there and then tag me so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Also, don't forget to look for the Procreate Dreams animation tutorial where we will be animating this drawing. Again, that will be coming soon. It'll be linked in the description below when it's ready. Thanks for watching!